SMU will be thrust into the limelight a second time this season as opening night is going to be under the lights in Tallahassee. Let's go.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On SMU on this Wednesday edition. We got a cool show coming up for all of you guys today. My name's Grayson Singleton. So glad you're tapping in with me on Locked On SMU. Coming up on the show today, those of you on YouTube, you can see it right there on your screen. SMU wide receiver Yamir Knight joining the show. And so I got to sit down and have a conversation with him. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that and enjoy the interview with Yamir Knight, the second-year SMU wide receiver that transferred from James Madison. Plus, the ACC is sick of Notre Dame, and so am I. We'll talk about that to close up the show. But first, hey, it got announced, and this wasn't too surprising, like, to be quite honest with you. SMU and Florida State is going to be in prime time, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 Central, to open up SMU's regular season on Memorial Day. Now, again, this wasn't a surprise because that's the only college football game on that day, at least according to ESPN.com. That's the only one on that day. Like, everybody else is going to play either on that Friday or on that Saturday or on the Sunday. You have two matchups on Sunday, Notre Dame and Wisconsin. You got Louisville and Ole Miss, and then a completely standalone game in primetime, SMU at Florida State. Now, that makes two games. It makes two that SMU is on primetime this year. Obviously, the matchup with Notre Dame is going to be on primetime. Now, the thing with the Notre Dame thing is that their contract is with NBC, and because of that, it goes up against the primetime game on ESPN ABC, and sometimes on ESPN television in general, like on the cable channel. So Notre Dame's ratings are kind of down a little bit. They've been going down in a way. We'll get back to that at the end of the show. But this one's bigger. This is opening night, Labor Day. Everybody's going to be football starved. The NFL season hasn't kicked around just yet. It's going to be SMU and Florida State, and that game alone. And this is a big chance. I talked about how the Notre Dame game is going to give you an elevated number of eyeballs for next season, just, because it's Notre Dame and you're going to get a primetime kick and people are going to be locked in. People that care are going to be locked in for that game. I think a lot more people are going to be locked in for this game against Florida State. And if you're SMU, this is what you wanted. This is what you bargained for, to get a game just like this. You're likely going to be ranked. Florida State is going to be out to prove in front of its home crowd and in front of the country that they're not going to be this putrid team that a lot of people, including myself, think they are going to be. And meanwhile, for SMU, you've got to come out of the gate. There is no easing into the year. It's first game, conference game, meaningful game. Oh, by the way, it's on the road in Tallahassee, man. You couldn't ask for anything better than this. As a coach, as a competitor, as a player, as a fan, you could not ask for anything better than this. This is why you make the move from the American Athletic Conference to the ACC, amidst a number of other reasons, but this is the main reason, is to play in games just like this and to drum up all the excitement. I'll give you a preview of the interview with Yamir Knight. One of the things he said is that he was so excited for Labor Day, for that Labor Day kickoff, and now we find out it's going to be played under the lights in Tallahassee. Really, really cool stuff. But for SMU, man, the exposure is going to be incredible. The exposure is going to be awesome because everybody's going to be watching. There's nothing else to watch. There's going to be nothing. And I think it's fascinating because I think this is the best time to do it, and this is the best team to do it with. Because you've got a veteran-laden squad, a lot of continuity on the coaching staff, something else I asked Yamir Knight about, by the way. But you got all this continuity. You got a veteran quarterback. You've got receivers that are out to prove it to themselves and prove it to the world. A defense that's trying to be better against the pass, but still has veterans there. They've got leadership in place. This was the team you wanted to do it with. In 2024, the 2024 team that made the college football playoff announced itself nationally to the college football world. 2025, little bit of a step back. It was a wonky season with a lot of wonky things that happened. And now 2026, your core is still intact. Your captains are still there. You've got continuity, familiarity from last year to this year. And now you're out to get back to the college football playoff. This was the perfect team to have a primetime, standalone island game to open up the season with. It could not have gone any more perfect. And there's one guy I think that has a lot at stake in this game, and that's Kevin Jennings, the quarterback. I was just reading an article before I started recording this at 11:20 p.m. last night. I'm reading an article from ESPN that says, college football playoff top 25 award candidates for every team projected in the top 25. SMU down here at 22. Kevin Jennings, Heisman Trophy. That's what's at stake here. Here's what they said. The Mustangs should be in the playoff hunt again, and Jennings is the biggest reason. He's electric when it comes to extending plays, which should give him more than a few chances for his Heisman moment. If the team and the player meet expectations, don't be surprised if Jennings is in New York at year's end. And I'll add something else to that as well, because you can do all the Heisman moment stuff and all that, and that's really cool. What gives you those bumps when it comes to award season and whatnot is when you do it and how many people see it and how viral it can go on social media and in what pivotal moments against pivotal opponents do you make those plays. And that's why Kevin Jennings has a lot to gain from this game. He's got a ton to gain. No pressure on him. There's not pressure. He needs to go out and play. But if Kevin wants to announce himself to the world as a top 10 quarterback, there's no better way to do it on opening night, on Labor Day, when the attention of the college football world is divided amongst nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't have any NFL. I don't have any NBA. I don't even have any other competing college games. It's just them. There is no better way to do that than for him to go out and ball and play well and show out on opening night. If he wants to get in that Heisman Trophy race, like remember this, for instance. Before John Mateer's season went down the drain last year for Oklahoma, some had to do with injury, some has to do with the fact that, he just didn't play good. But there was a game against Michigan where he made a couple of plays. He didn't make a bevy of plays, by the way, but he made a couple. And that all of a sudden vaunted him to being the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. But look at the moment. Look at the team. Look at the time slot. That was a primetime game under the lights. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit were calling it. There were no other games to compete with it of that magnitude, right? And he showed out. Next thing we know, he was the betting favorite to win the Heisman. Kevin Jennings has a very similar chance to do that and announce himself to the race on Labor Day. That's what those types of moments bring. And another cat who's really excited about this, and by the way, is really excited to continue playing with Kevin Jennings, is SMU wide receiver Yamir Knight, who joins the show coming up next. Make sure you stay tuned for that here on Locked On SMU. We'll be right back. Your outdoor space should feel like you. It's one of those spots you keep meaning to fix up, but never quite got around to. That's where Wayfair comes in. They make it easy to find pieces that match the vibe you wanted. So what's so cool about shopping with Wayfair? Well, for one, I love how easy it is to filter by style and by budget, so I can find exactly what fits my space and doesn't explode my wallet as well. Plus, they've got everything in one place: seating, decor, lighting, even outdoor rugs. to help spice up and just make that patio just feel more like home. And there's thousands of verified reviews, so you can always feel confident in what you are getting. Now the space actually feels put together, somewhere you want to sit, relax, and spend time. So get prepped for patio season for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's Wayfair, WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style for every home. Welcome back to this edition of Locked On SMU. Grayson Singleton here with you. Hey, and remember, if you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page as well at Locked On SMU. Would love to have you be a part of this family. And joining me now is second-year SMU wide receiver Yamir. He goes by Ms. Yamir Knight, joining me here on the show. Yamir, appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us. And I want to start with asking you, man, how's the offseason going? How are you feeling as you guys get done with spring practices now?
Well, it's a pleasure to be on the show, man. Off-season, we got things started off really fast, straight into the strength program, winter workouts, things like that. I've been adapted to this leadership role, so I was held accountable to hold my team accountable. So that's kind of I've been put in a different position this upcoming, season. I'm going into the 2026 season for us. And spring ball was amazing. You've seen a lot of guys out there flying around, making a lot of plays, a lot of new faces, a lot of new things going in, schematically wise. So, I'm just really excited for this upcoming season.
Talk to me about that leadership role that you just alluded to. Last year, it was your first year with the program, and all of a sudden, everybody's seeing you as a leader now. How have you adapted to the new role and what all that entails?
Well, I think just coming in last year, I kind of just wanted to put a staple on who I was, just a dude that comes in here, grinds, work hard. I didn't want to step over any toes. So the staff actually came to me this offseason and told me that they want me to step up into that leadership role. They kind of told me that a little bit last year, but again, I didn't want to step on any toes. So for me to just, become in that position, it's really good that they look at me in that aspect, because that's really just a testament to all the hard work that I put in, So for them to trust me, that's just a great feeling.
And speaking of all that hard work, you started at James Madison, then you worked your way into the Power Four, and you were the third leading receiver with 630 yards on an ACC team in your first year in the Power Four. What was that transition like, and how do you feel about it going into this year as well?
Well, that transition was kind of ultimately what I wanted to do all along. As a young kid, I just grew up wanting to play at the highest level. I feel like I had the talent to play at the highest level. People may have overlooked my size and things of that nature, but as far as God-given ability, I feel like I've always had this talent, So coming into the season, I was just ultra confident in myself, just trying to prove myself to show the world that who I can be and the things I provide for a team, and that's not just even talent wise. That's just making the team better as far as holding people accountable, showing up every day to work hard. Cause if you're doing that and people respect you, they're going to follow along and do what you do. So I really just want to take that role into it, just a whole another step, coming in here, just showing the world a lot more that I could do, how I can perform each and every week, how consistent I can be, how I can help my teammates, in tough times and things like that. So that's really what I'm looking for going into the season. I want that next step to be a major.
I'm going to get back to the team in a second, but I got to ask you about your background and your upbringing. You're from Smyrna, Delaware. You're the first person, by the way, that I've ever spoken to that's from the state of Delaware.
Absolutely.
But you're from the state of Delaware. And now you're playing in Dallas, Texas. I don't know how much time you spent in the southern part of the United States before you moved down here, but was there a little bit of a culture shock or something when you came down here ultimately from James Madison?
I always heard about the Southern hospitality. It's definitely, I would say it's different from, where I'm from and things like that. But as far as adapting, I feel like it's been good. I always wanted to be in a bigger city coming from a very small town in the state of Delaware, which is the second smallest state amongst the world. So, just being here, it kind of taught me a lot of different things. I'm adapting to the culture. I'm learning how people do things around here. So it's new for sure.
Dallas isn't what it used to be, but like you got any cowboy boots, any cowboy hats, any kind of that southern stuff yet?
Okay, so as far as that, I have not, but I'm definitely interested in putting something like that on. You know, I definitely take some pictures of some cowboy hats and some jeans and some boots.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Getting back to football, Yamir. You guys have a lot of new in that wide receiver room. Jalen Hale comes over from Alabama. Yannick
Yep.
Smith comes over from East Carolina. You've got some freshmen that are pretty exciting as well. Talk to me about what you guys have seen in this wide receiver room over the course of spring practices.
I seen a lot of dudes making a lot of plays, honestly. Just like first day out, you know, I think the wide receivers is just clicking on all cylinders, you know, especially with the quarterbacks, because, you know, that comes from off-season throwing, trainings, and stuff like that. So it's not just like you're just going to go out there and just be perfect on day one if you're not, you know, putting the work in the off-season. So I feel like as far as that aspect, the guys that's coming in, they knew, like, you know, it's time to get the work from the door. It's no time to waste and things like that. I feel like they adapted greatly, and I feel like we're in good hands.
No, I think you are too. I love this wide receiver core. And at the head of it all is Rhett Lashlee, the head coach for SMU. And during your time at James Madison, you played for Kurt Signetti, you played for Bob Chesney, and now you're playing for Rhett Lashlee. You've had three excellent head coaches. What has it been like learning from all three of those guys? And what's something unique about Rhett Lashlee now that you're in your second year with him?
Like all three of those guys, like you said, amazing coaches. You know, Kurt Signetti just won the national championship at Indiana. You know, like that's just something that people never thought would happen. People that was a part of the program definitely knew that it was something that he was capable of doing. And then Bob Chesney bringing James Madison to the playoffs in his second year in the Sun Belt Conference, you know, that's just like a major thing. Them dudes, they definitely taught me a lot, producing my game and really just trying to understand the game. I had a great offensive coordinator in high school going into college. He kind of just like taught me like the X and O's pieces of football. So I knew a little bit coming into college, but those guys definitely they definitely taught me a lot, and I was definitely grateful to just learn from each and every one of those guys. As far as Rhett Lashlee, I'm just super confident around him, you know, like he just kind of lets me like play free, you know, and he can also, if something that he doesn't like if he sees something that I do that he doesn't like, and he'll definitely just call me out on it. I feel like we have a great relationship as far as that. Yeah, we just like get right back to hitting on all cylinders. It's not like he's mad at me or I'm not mad. I'm mad at him just because, you know, he called me out. Like it's the part of the sport. So I feel like for me and Rhett Lashlee to just bounce back on certain occasions like that, I feel like that's great for you know, like the culture and things like that. How people should view their head coach, and basically like we're on the same page all the time.
Yeah. The offense. Is there anything a little bit different this year? Because obviously Casey Woods and his influence is no longer there. He was there in your first year with the program, but Casey's no longer there. Has anything seemed a little bit, not from a tactical standpoint, but just has anything seemed a little bit different with him no longer there?
It's definitely going to be just a few things differently, you know, just like losing a key addition to our offense like that, you know, that's just like a major blow. But I feel like as far as bouncing back, we'll be very fine. You know, like I said, Rhett Lashlee has like ultra confidence in like players and staff. So he promoted people to be in this position. So I feel like they're going to do a great job, and I feel like we're just going to continue going upward.
Couple more questions for you before I let you go, Yamir. Kevin Jennings, what's it like playing with that dude?
That dude is special, you know, like some things some things that he does like you just never seen before, and it's like, how did he do that? You know, I was literally just talking to him yesterday about a certain throw that he made to me, and I was like, yeah, like in the middle of the air, like I was just confused on how the ball got to me. But yeah, it's great working with him. You know, he's an amazing dude. Like off the field, you can connect with him on many different levels. He's definitely a people's person, you know, and I feel like he's super humble as well, which is why I like him.
Yeah. Last question for you. We've talked about the team. We've talked about, you know, some of your background, but let's go forward and talk about future for a second. What are some of your individual goals for this 2026 season?
I don't want to really like just put out like as far as like personal statistics or anything, but I definitely just I just want to become more of a leader with this team. Putting me in that role, I feel like that's just like a testament to like all the hard work that I put in. So for me to just like step into that role and then like pay all the people that believe in me back, that'd be great for me and this program. So I'm just looking forward to that, honestly.
Okay, last question. I do have one more for you.
For sure.
You talk about the people that believed in you. You're a 5'8" dude from the state of Delaware that's now doing work in the Power Four. Before people believed in you, you had to believe in yourself, though. Where did that come from?
Well, I had two older brothers go Division I, and they're not too much bigger or taller than me. Obviously, they play a different position than me, but I feel like we've always had that skill. We were blessed, like my mom did a great job of just like keeping us humble in everything that we do and just trusting our ability. Like every week, she would tell me like I don't care if you play football. It's just like something you love to do. So she just like supportive of any and everything that I do, and I feel like that really just gave me the confidence to just go like pushing to be anything that I want to be, honestly, in this world. So, and that obviously was football. And like I said before, I wanted to always play at the highest level. And I feel like my ability could get me there. And I'm just thankful and just grateful to be in this position for Rhett Lashlee and the staff to believe in me. And I give all the glory to my Savior, Jesus Christ.
Well, you certainly repaid their belief with a productive first season. And, bro, we're looking forward to seeing you in your second season on the Hilltop, brother. Yamir Knight, appreciate the time, brother.
Thank you.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, and location, so you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching and more time interviewing people who check these boxes. It's less stress, less time, and with more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. If you've ever opened your bank account and thought, where did all my money go? You're not alone. Keeping track of subscriptions, spending, and bills can get overwhelming very fast. That's where Rocket Money comes in, helping you take control of your finances all in one place. Here's how it works. It tracks all your subscriptions in one spot and can help cancel the ones that you don't need with just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so you can actually see where your money is going and what you're doing with it. And you can set budgets, get alerts, and stay on top of upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances day to day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, welcome back to the show here on Locked On SMU on a Wednesday. Grayson Singleton here. And make sure you check out the Everydayer Club as well. Ad-free shows, plus members-only Discord access, and more for just $5 a month or $50 for an entire year. Go to the link in the show notes or the description, or just go to lockedonsmu.supercast.com to learn more about the Everydayer Club. All right, first of all, hope you guys enjoyed the Yamir Knight interview. I'm hoping we get even more of these interviews. I'm glad that Yamir could join us, and thanks to SMU for allowing me to do those interviews with both Yamir and with Alexander Kilgore. We do have another interview coming either tomorrow's show or Friday's show. One of the two this week. I will run an interview with Director of Recruiting Operations Brian Filker as well. So we have one more interview coming for you guys this week, so that'll be a lot of fun. But the ACC and Notre Dame are about to go to blows because the ACC is sick, and I mean sick, of the Irish. Oh, by the way, I am too. So where am I going with this? Brett McMurphy of On3 put out an article saying ACC athletic directors call out Notre Dame special treatment. Quote, we're all getting used. And it basically highlights that Notre Dame, throughout the course of its partnership with the ACC, is basically getting golden treatment. So the ACC allows Notre Dame to be a part of its conference in all sports except football, where obviously they are independent, which I think is BS and they shouldn't join a conference. They have now worked their way into being guaranteed a playoff spot if they finish the year ranked inside the top 12 after their complete and utter, miscarriage of justice that they suffered. Obviously, I'm being tongue-in-cheek about that. As a matter of fact, by the way, some people at the ACC spring meetings called it pathetic, 100% arrogance, and also called SMU crybabies. That was just a few of the responses, reading from the article, by the way, from the league's athletic directors and coaches who spoke with On3 about Notre Dame. Holy smokes, they cannot stand Notre Dame. And by the way, neither can I, because I'm sick of this, right? It was one thing with Florida State when Florida State got left out of the college football playoff after being undefeated. But why did they get left out? Because Jordan Travis completely shredded his leg and they looked god-awful against Louisville in the ACC championship game, even though they won that game. At that moment in time, I was like, there's no way you can put them in. Like, nobody's going to want to see this. And I was wrong. They should have been in. And what made me realize I was wrong, part of it was that, sure, they threw their fit. Like, they threw their fit. But Notre Dame, with their weak schedule from last year, and they lost a game where they should not have lost, were like, no, we should get in, and then took their ball and ran home. As a matter of fact, let me tell you how this special treatment came about. So when they decided to completely just not do a bowl game because, they threw a hissy fit after it, the ACC did not find Notre Dame. Now, if the ACC had tried to find Notre Dame, I'm pretty sure that could have led us down a legal rabbit hole because, again, in football, Notre Dame is still an independent. But there's not a byline that mandates the ACC to find a team. However, the Big 12 does not have a specific law that says that. But when Iowa State and Kansas State opted out of their bowl games, each were fined $500K. So even though the conferences, don't have a specific rule and punishment for opting out of bowl games, they still do it. I mean, even the Sun Belt fined Marshall for opting out of his bowl game a couple of years ago. And by the way, every program, this is what Brett McMurphy wrote, every program that has opted out of a bowl game, except for COVID-19 issues, has been fined. The one exception, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Now, part of this is on the ACC, too. Part of this is on the ACC for allowing this, right? It's like when, you talk about people in a relationship, right? If your girl disrespects you and you just let it go, what is she going to keep doing? She's going to keep disrespecting you and pushing the line and pushing the boundaries. That's why you got to call out the nonsense when it happens, right? Otherwise, it's only going to get worse. So part of this is on the ACC for completely saying, yep, we're just going to let Notre Dame do whatever the hell Notre Dame wants because they're Notre Dame. Which, by the way, how did this even come up? Right? Like, sure, Notre Dame has 11 national championships. All but 3 of them are pre-civil rights. Like, let that sink in for a second. All but 3 are pre-civil rights. Oh, and we're still carrying that sort of flag. Like, this is what I don't get about the blue blood argument. And like, I know it's a good one to denote the historical standard bearers of college football. Like, Notre Dame, Nebraska, which as a kid born in 2001 makes no damn sense. But They've got that historical lineage. Oklahoma falls into this category. They've won all the championships, except they haven't won one in over a quarter century. Again, they haven't won one since the year before I was born, which makes that, makes the conversation a very curious one, right? Alabama and Ohio State pretty much are the only blue bloods, and Michigan, they're pretty much the only blue bloods that have continued that championship tradition all the way into, the 2000s, into the 2010s, and into the NIL transfer portal era. So the conversation of blue bloods and its impact is always a very fascinating one to me. It's always a very nuanced and layered one. But it seems as if, like Notre Dame is still riding on the coattails of things that happened before people that look like me had equal rights, which is craziness. It's crazy. But again, even though the ACC is sick of them, and even though I am too of this treatment, because, keep this in mind too, Notre Dame for a second got sick of the ACC. Remember this? Remember when the ACC was campaigning on its social media sites for Miami to get in over Notre Dame? It was replaying Miami's win over Notre Dame, and it pissed Notre Dame off. Remember this quote from Notre Dame AD Pete Bavacqua? He said, quote, "The next step in assessing that relationship and where do you go from here? The ACC certainly has done permanent damage to the relationship between the conference and Notre Dame." What are we supposed to look out for you? Let me guess. Oh yeah, you're independent. Oh yeah, now you want to get out of here, man. It's craziness. But yeah, that's Notre Dame in a nutshell. The relationship between Notre Dame and the ACC, I think, it's a fractured one that is still going to hold on. They're going to be that messy couple that everybody looks at as like, yeah, they should probably get divorced. That's what SMU and the ACC is. They're the couple that you walk around, and every time they're in public, you always get the feeling that something's wrong, right? You've seen those couples. I've seen them in college. It's like, damn, like, should they just break up? Like, why are they together? And that's what the Notre Dame ACC relationship to me right now is like. You have the ACC that has tolerated this. The ACC is they are not without culpability here. The ACC has allowed this sort of behavior and has catered to this sort of behavior. And now the NCAA is doing it too, because Notre Dame is automatically guaranteed a playoff spot if they find itself in the top 12. Just complete, like, record aside, resume aside, which probably is not going to be all that great because they don't schedule very well. But record aside, all that, they end up in the top 12 they're in. So the conference and the NCAA has placated to Notre Dame. That part is true. But Notre Dame has ran with that. I mean, you give them an inch, they've taken a marathon with it. So we should also, like, I'm not going to tell you how to feel. You can feel any way you want. I'm pretty sure there's some Notre Dame fans that are going to find this, because they have found every time I've talked about Notre Dame before. But it's getting to a point where the conference is sick of them. And I am too. Because this is craziness. What is going on between the ACC and Notre Dame? It's craziness. And if the ACC is going to continue placating to Notre Dame, then this is only going to keep going. Period. End of story. All I got to say is, when it comes to social media and campaigning for college football playoff spots, the ACC has no reason to campaign for Notre Dame. Why? Because you're not in the conference. You're not wearing our patch. You're not contributing to our revenue. They got no reason to. So if you want to get butthurt about that and say the relationship is fractured, hey, how about this, Notre Dame? You can go schedule yourself. You don't have to have a partnership. But good luck trying to find a conference that's going to take the rest of the teams, even though I'm pretty sure the Big Ten would. They certainly would. They'll find one. But it's childish. Ever since that happened, it has been undeniable that Notre Dame has conducted itself like nothing more than a petulant child. And now people are sick of them, and deservedly so. All right, that'll do it for Locked On SMU here today on the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate you making us your first listen of the day. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club as well. Big thanks to SMU and to Yamir Knight for the interview earlier today. I'm Grayson Singleton. For your second listen of the day, make sure you listen to our 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. And on audio, make sure you tap in with Locked On College Basketball. We will talk to you guys tomorrow for another edition. Take it easy, everybody.